Hi, this is Isabel. So today is my live session that I will be doing every Monday to help you with this new year that's coming with career networking and business. This is what I do. So today I wanted to share with you a little bit of what I know, how to start a business. So again, I tried to cover different topics, but I thought this one was on target because I just went to a startup event in Winterthur. So that was very exciting. It was for 2 days. I went one and I learned so much. It was really a value packed type of event. So if you're trying to basically at the moment do some, start your own business or do something with startups, I would really encourage you to go to events. That would be my first thing. So what I wanted to cover, and I'm trying to position my mic, so this is a live session. That's why I'm doing this right now. So I hope it's not in the way. So what I wanted to share with you is basically 4 tips today. Usually I go with my 3 tips, but I actually had 4. So I wanted to share with you 4 tips on how to build a business in Switzerland. So definitely going to events is one of them, and I will come back on that. So number 1, to go in order, because I'm always trying to give you a structure in my speeches. So the first thing is really readiness. Are you ready to start a business right now? Is it the right time for you? And when I do sessions on starting a business, I talk about this because it is important. There's really a time for everything, and that's also for private or public life. There's times where you want to, but it's just not the right timing. And I've been in places before in my career where I had a job and I was thinking about starting something, but I just wasn't ready. I didn't have the grit. I didn't have the patience. It was just wrong timing. So I kept the idea in the back of my head and I thought, okay, this is something that I want to do, but right now I have other priorities in my life and I had to settle. I had to figure out a few things before I was ready to start a business. So it was wrong timing. So that's why I want you to think about, that's the first step, is where are you at in your life right now? Are you in a place where you're going to need a lot of finances? Maybe you're in a space now where you have lots of things that you need to pay for, and you have a huge need for finances, and starting a business may not be the right moment. And I say this because I have coaching calls with clients on a regular basis, and they contact me in different stages where they want to start a business or maybe they have. And most of the time, I would say probably 99% of the time when I get coaching calls where entrepreneurs contact me and say, I've been doing my business, but I need money right now. I need a job. I can't do this anymore. And it's really a pity because I think most of the time the business is valid and maybe it's just a time of you need a couple more months or maybe a year. But if you're in a space where finance is important, that's why I'm saying it's always trying to figure out and really assessing whether the finances are needed. And I always say have a 1 year's worth of savings aside so that you can always, get back on your feet if maybe there's a slow slope or something like this. So that's why I want you to avoid it, is really to start something because you're very excited, but you're not in the right space, whether it be mental, market, maybe the market is not ready for what you have to offer, and finally money. You also need to have a bit of money, even though people say you can borrow money and everything. I tend to be, if people know me, I'm a bootstrapper, and I'll explain a little bit later what I mean by that. I'm the type of a person, I can be very thrifty, even though I do like to have nice things like everybody else, but I know how to manage money. And that's also something that if right now you're struggling a little bit, feel free to contact me. I know how to, and I have experience with that, how to make the most with what I have. So yeah, that's the business creation journey that I would advise people to take, is those 3 things. Make sure you're mental ready, market ready, and money ready, so that at least you're in a good space when maybe the business is not picking up as fast as you want. Maybe your product needs a little bit more tailoring, and just the funding is not going to come quickly. So that's number 1. Number 2 is you need to find a niche because there's so many people doing so many things out there right now that if you don't have a niche market where you have your product defined and you have the market for it, it's going to be a bit complicated to sell it. So I think every business now is niching, focusing. And I'm guilty of that. I'm the type of a person where I have so many ideas within a day and there's so many things I'm interested in. I would probably start 4 businesses right now if I listen to myself, because there's so many things that I see an opportunity and I would like to do it. But then I remind myself that if I try to catch too many birds, or too many rabbits, I probably won't catch any, because you have to be super focused when you want something to grow. Because if you diverted yourself in too many things, that's why I usually tell people to put a cap on multiple activities. And I really see this right now where people have a job and maybe they have a side gig, maybe they start a business. And then the question they ask me is, how do I market myself on LinkedIn? Because, what do I put on my profile? Because I have all these things going on. And that's really the thing that I see right now. So I think having maybe 1 or 2 things going on, maybe you have a business and at the same time you're still working full time because the business is not mature yet, and that's fine. But I would put a cap on it. So maybe 2 things. But I think when you start having 3 things, 4 things, 5 things, it becomes very complicated to be very efficient, because then your mind will be scattered in between too many things, so you won't bring into fruition. And again, I'm very guilty of that. I'm part of those people who actually wanted to do so many things, and people who have been following me for a while, they see that I've done a lot of different things. Now, I don't regret it. I think it's experience, but at some point you need to be focused in what it is that you do well, and where you have your value in the market. So, even though people say, well, I can get people who do other things in my business and I'm just the founder, but I don't need to be good at this one thing. I would argue that whatever you're starting your business in, you need to have experience behind you. So for example, if you're going to be in the health sector in tech, I think you're going to have more credibility if you come from a health background, or if you're someone who is going to build a platform online. It's okay if you don't have all the secrets, but then you need to have maybe some people who are more tech oriented in your team, maybe some engineers, maybe some CTOs. So you see, you have to have some credibility if you're going to build a product. So I could not insist more on that, because again, a lot of people think, well, I can just do something and it's going to work out. To be credible, again, with people who are going to be also in competition with you, who may have the background. So if you want to get into healthcare, or if you want to get into, right now in tech, there's so many things, food tech, edu tech, what have you. You need to find where you have your value, based on maybe the experiences that you have when you had your full-time job, and maybe make the most out of that is going to be a bit quicker than if you try to get into something new where you have zero experience. So that's number 2, is find really the thing. And it's not necessarily easy to find immediately. And that's why I always advise to get feedback also, to see if you have what it takes to sell that product or sell that service before you go full power on and go out there. So that's really to make the most out of it. Think niche. Now, going back to what I was saying earlier, number 3 is network. I know I say this all the time, but if you are going to sell a service or product, you need to have a network around you of people who are going to maybe advise you, but also open some doors for you. And there's a lot of businesses actually now that are doing very well with very small networks, but they're very niche, again, very focused networks. So if you have experience, for example, with communities, and you know that this particular community loves, beauty products, for example, and you know that they're even more interested in health products, so maybe some supplements or some vitamins. So I will probably address the 2 that I see right now as being products that people are selling online. I see a lot of vitamins and supplements, and that's post-COVID, maybe also is a niche market. And I see a lot with crystals and the whole area of what I call the new age. So if you have products like crystals and elements of well-being, yoga and all these things. I would say some meditation and all these items. I see a lot of businesses doing that right now. So for example, those are just two ones where you can build a business if you have the right communities and if you have the right niche. So that's examples, but I could probably say, it could be anything else. But why would you do well in those two? Well, for example, if you were someone who worked in health and you realize that by mixing certain ingredients, you get a product and this product really works well on certain parts of the body, and then you would become credible to sell this product to a market. So it's really based on, again, what you've been working on. I saw a lady, for example, who sold products on makeup products or skincare, but she had been researching really the products that works and the ones that have absolutely zero additions to them and 100% natural, and she built a product around that. But she really researched her market and made sure that she was offering really a single product that was very particular. So that's what you can do with your background. Look at what you've done where you could really table down on that rather than to try to start something new. So you've been someone who's done a lot of sports, for example. You've done a lot of yoga and meditation, and you've been doing that for 20 years. So you've acquired so much experience by meeting people, by maybe you had a course at some point. So you could table down on all that and now build a product where you think with your 10, 15 years of experience, now you could offer maybe a package to people who are looking to be a bit healthier and do a bit more exercise. So that's an example of how I would do it. Now, based on all my years of experience and what I see working out there, is really to table down on what you already have and start building a product or a service on it. And also you become more credible. The storytelling becomes easy because then you have a background in it. So it's easy for you to explain that based on all your experience, now this is why you're selling this product or this service. So this is really how I would do it. Or same thing, if you have, for example, nutrition, maybe you've dealt yourself with some ills and you realize that to cover, to become healthier, and maybe you have a lot of allergies that you dealt with and it took you years to get to a point where you balance your diet, and now you want to sell a supplement or you want to sell maybe a type of regimen or a cure that works for people who are suffering with the same things. So those are just examples, because if you just go to a market where you say, okay, I just see that now people are selling this product. I use my example, I see crystals and nutrition, but I don't think I have the right background for it. And it would take me so long to get to the point where I become credible again in this field that it wouldn't make sense for me to just go out and try to have my storytelling and find something on that. So that's what I'm trying to explain, a few words, is that just going for what's hot at the moment is not necessarily good for you, because you're not going to be the person that's the best one to present that product or that service at the moment. And there's other people around you that are going to be a bit more experienced and have the right networks already. So think about you as an individual. What is your field, your area, your knowledge, where you could package that up and be credible in an industry, in a service, in a product, and you could go straight to market and make money immediately. So that goes to what I was saying with bootstrapping. Is basically what it is you already have a service or a product that you can sell immediately. Maybe you have a starter product that you can start selling immediately, and then people purchase it. So then you have income and you can invest this money again in your business to present a second product. You do the same thing and then you present a third product, and maybe you have a line of products. You could do the same thing with services, obviously, but basically you have a starter package of something that you sell. If it's going well, what is good is that if it's going well, then you have immediate feedback that you hold something and you can probably grow that thing into something else. So it's good for you because you already make money. It's a little bit, I would say, more comfortable than if you have to wait several years and ask for finances before you can actually get a return on investment. So there's really two things going out there. So the bootstrapping is basically you're going at it where you make your own revenues and then you reinvest those revenues and you grow your business that way, maybe a bit slowly, but you don't have any debt and you don't have to involve other people that are putting money in your business to be part of the decision making, to have a view on your business. So you're really full-fledged captain of your boat, so to say. And I think if you have, it depends again on the product. If you're selling a solution or a service, you could probably build a product that's immediately something you can sell. Now, if you're going for highly innovative tools and products where you need years of investment to come up with something, then of course you need to find investors for that. You can't bootstrap that. I think it would be a bit hard. So high tech, high technology innovation where you need to invest millions to come up with a prototype of something, then you would need to get investors. But if you're selling a solution online or something where you can maybe have a starter package, as I say, then it's really immediate feedback from the market that if you sell it, then it shows that people are wanting that product, and maybe then they want more features to that product. Maybe they want to have a line of products or something like that. So to achieve that, obviously, you need to have a network. You need to come up with people that are going to support you, that are going to give you the right advice. And obviously, you need to find your clients, people that are going to purchase from you. So that's why surrounding yourself. So I go back to what I teach, which is usually why do you network? So in a way, if you're going to build a business, I think at the beginning it's great to get feedback so that you know if you hold something or not. And then the second thing would be to network, to find people who are going to give you some great possibilities. Maybe they know people who are going to talk about your product, or they know people who could provide maybe some support in some shape or form. So when you have you build your network around you, when you have a business, then you're not alone, and you have people that you can count on that are going to immediately be part of the journey with you, as opposed where you have to start from scratch and you have to cold call people. Or, I have that happening to me all the time, probably not the only one, where you have people messaging you out of nowhere and they're just basically pushing the service or the product on you. And it's the cold approach. You don't know the people and you just message them, and then you go to the website or the service and you see that they're beginning, which is fine. Everyone needs to begin. But I think when you're beginning is the time when you need to have a little bit of, again, the network to start from working with your community, with your network. And then when that is stable, that's when I think it's good to go on the sponsored ads and making that bigger and reaching out to more communities, more people, selling bigger and better, so to say. But at the very beginning, when you're starting, it's a little bit more credible, again, to have some things already settled with communities that because they will be the first fans to buy from you and to tell you whether you hold something or not. So if you're selling, I go back to my examples of nutrition or products. So if you have a community and that's the product they're expecting, then they would already purchase a few from you. And if you see you already have some income, that's when it's a good idea to go and advertise and pay for featured ads and all that. So that's how I've been observing. Of course, everything I'm sharing with you right now, I didn't know when I started in 2015. I absolutely didn't know. And also it was a bit different then. It was already a few years back. So what I'm sharing is basically what I wish I knew when I started, because I did it by trial and error, which is what most people are doing. But I think now there's more advice for entrepreneurs. There's more communication, more videos. So just going to this event I went to, this saves you probably years of trying to figure out on your own, because you have people who've been there and done that. So going to events again and trying to belong to communities of people who've done it and who've been there and done it, and who can tell you, don't waste your time on this, go straight for that. So again, now I think I'm at a stage where I have a much better idea of what it takes than trying to go out there and be a bit too confused. So again, the steps that I'm sharing with you today is really, I think, a huge help if you're trying to do something right now with business creation, selling, some services, or even doing it part-time. To do it in a way where you're not going to waste a lot of time and money and be disappointed and then contact me and say, I need a job, I have no money, I'm basically in a hard place right now. And of course, when you're in a hard place, it becomes even more difficult to go back to the job market because you're anxious, you're stressed, you're not in a good headspace to network because you're thinking only, I need a job and I need some income immediately. So that's why I want to prepare people mentally. So it's great to create. It's great to be an entrepreneur. And I've said this before, I wouldn't change my life right now. I love where I am. But also I'm very conscious of the fact that it comes with it's like having children, really. Not that I have any children, but I compare it to that. When moms say, I love my children, I love spending time with my children, but, and there's always a but, it takes a lot of time and effort, and you have to be ready for it. Well, it's the same thing with business creation. It's great. It's a great experience. It's a lot of fun too, but it also takes a lot of your mental space, of your energy. It takes a lot of going out there and not giving up, even when times get tough and when you're in doubt. So I always prepare people on that. I say, yes, it's great. And, ideas are fantastic. And I encourage people to go for those ideas. But at the same time, I give them both sides. I also say, but there's also another side where, are you prepared mentally to go for this? Are you in the right mindset? Did you find the right market? Or do you have a beginner product that people are already interested in? Another great way to start a business is when people come to you and say, do you have this? And that's how I started now my community around events in Switzerland, is because people were saying, where do I find those events? I just can't find them. Where do you go? And when you tell them to look on different sites, it's just so confusing and there's so much out there. So it's after hearing this for many years now where I say, well, there's something there. People keep asking me that same question for something obviously that's not there at the moment, like a one single place to find events. And it could be the same thing with you right now. Maybe people come to you and say, I don't have, for example, if you work in finance, in Switzerland, there's a lot of banks and there's a lot of financial services, and people keep coming to you and say, oh, I wish I had an app for this, or I wish this process would be a bit easier. And you keep hearing that all the time. And then maybe after a while, you're like, well, maybe I know how this thing works and I could probably come up with a solution for this. And again, you can do it alone, or maybe you have a colleague, a friend, someone who says, yeah, I'd be willing to create something with you because both of us, we have the knowledge and we can solve this problem. So that leads me to, if you want to start a business, you are a problem solver. You see problems, so you're good at identifying pain points, problems, people who are struggling, and you're like, I can solve this problem. So that's what I do with my coaching business. People come up to me basically with their struggles and issues, and basically I love to solve people's career issues. That's what I do very well. So I figure, I make a business out of it. So I solve people's career issues. And what problem can you solve? In your day to day, you see something like, I can solve this problem, and then people pay you for it. And because you gained, you help them gain years of struggling with that issue by themselves and trying to find the right resources. So that's why people, I think that's the good reason to get into business is because you can solve people's issues, and you can do it better maybe than somebody else. So that brings even more value to you. So that's pretty much what I wanted to say to you today is, if you're serious about starting a business, think about readiness, mental, market, money, niche. Do you have your market fit for your product? Do you have the experience? Do you have the right network that's going to put you in the right direction before you struggle alone? And finally, I would advise, again, it depends on what you're trying to do, but start small, expand from there. Do not get in debt necessarily, unless you're really, really sure of something extremely innovative where you're going to double down on that when it works. But get advice, I would say, and get a lot of feedback before you go and go full-fledged on it, so that you don't crash and burn after years of borrowing money and losing a lot. So that's the advice that I received myself during this event yesterday or the day before, is, crash fast, basically, because you don't want to go and stay 1 year, 2 years, 3 years with something you're investing a lot of cash in and it's not bringing you anything. I go back to my example of Theranos. Great product, you get a drop of blood and you can get your test results. She invested, she searched for investors, the owner, and it lasted, 10 years? She was still struggling, getting more money plugged into the business, but no product. And at the end, it crashed, but it crashed after many, many years. So, and it became a catastrophic event for a lot of people, investors, herself, everything crashed. So if you're going to crash, yeah, I agree, crash fast, because then you don't have enough money invested in the business. And if you lose a few thousands or what have you, it's not going to be the end of the day. And also time is precious. I mean, who wants to stay years with a company that's going nowhere, even though it's your own company? Again, I would advise that immediately there's going to be some kind of return on investment. If it's a good product or a good service or something that people really want, then obviously there's a market fit. It should produce some income fairly quickly, unless you're doing, again, a different scenario, like a not-for-profit, and that's a whole different space there. But even then, you need to attract investors or people who are going to invest in your not-for-profit somehow. So that's it for today's lunch conversation. I'm happy to share my knowledge so that you don't have to go and crash and burn, and hopefully get the right advice. I would suggest, go to these events that are now so many of them, for startups, for the tech space, for building products. I mean, there's so many lunches, breakfasts, startup days out there, lots of forums. I would strongly suggest that you attend those events, that you get feedback from people who have been there and done that, who have the wisdom and who can put you in the right direction. And even you can test your product with them by just asking questions. So that would be my advice, is don't, and I know that's probably a mistake I've made to some extent also, is to keep the baby for myself at the very beginning, where I was like, it's my idea and I'm going to do my thing in my corner and not share it. I would advise now to do the opposite. Go talk to as many people as you can to show what you want to do. You immediately see on their face or by their level of interest if it's going to be something that they're like, yeah, tell me more about it. I want to know what you want to do and I want to help you. And, see their level of excitement. That tells you already if you hold something of interest. So that would be my last piece of advice, is go out there, ask people, present what you want to do. Don't worry so much about idea theft, because again, an idea is not so much in the end. You have to build the business, and not many people are going to be able to implement. So even if they have the same idea as you, it's all in the implementation. So do they have the team around them? Do they have the network? They're going to be able to produce? Probably not, especially if they weren't the ones with the idea to begin with. So ideas, there's so many out there. It doesn't mean you hold a business. So in the end, talk to as many people as you can, get feedback, get knowledge from other people. And once you have gathered all that, then it helps you determine whether you keep going, or maybe it's not the best idea for now. Maybe it's a good idea for later. So yeah, that would be my last suggestion, is attend events. If you go on my website now, isabellenitzler.com, there's a link to events, and you can find the community where there's going to be a lot of events posted in Switzerland. And there's going to be a tech space and entrepreneurship space where you can attend those events. But also, if you're looking for a new role right now, you want to grow your career, definitely there's going to be some events there that are strictly business, because I completely understand that right now the big challenge is, okay, I want to get to my next step, or I want to learn more about a certain field, But where do I find quality type of networks and events where I would be able to share my situation right now, get some good feedback, find people that are relevant to what I'm trying to do, who understand what I'm trying to do. So that would be it for today. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me after you watch this, maybe during a break or during your day. I'm there for you. And hope you all decide to start a business at some point. I think it's a great experience to have something else than as an experience than just working in a company. But follow my advice, make sure you're in the right place to do so. So I hope you have a great lunch, and I'll talk to you soon.